What's up, gamers? Gamers, we're making a badge system. Now, you might be fairly wondering, like, what does that mean? There's like a bajillion different badge systems, and it could mean anything. Essentially, badges are just an accessory. Every game under the sun that even pretends to be somewhat RPG-like has accessories in it. And then a lot of games even have their own badge system that they specifically call a badge system. But essentially, any game that has equipment, you get something for equipping stuff. So when I say I'm making a badge system, what does it mean? I think the best point of reference for the kind of thing I want to incorporate is Hollow Knight. I feel like the badges in Hollow Knight are super fun and super interesting. And then I also think, as an interesting poll, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door also has a really cool badge system. Essentially, the point of this badge system is that I want players to be able to personalize their style. It's like Hollow Knight gives you a lot of different options. You can equip a badge that makes you attack faster. You can equip a badge that makes your dash damage enemies. You can equip a badge for having more health or being able to move while you're healing. Essentially, whatever you're struggling with in terms of your gameplay, you can equip a badge that helps you with that particular, aspect of it. And so I want to do a similar thing where we have these badges that essentially let you customize your playstyle a little bit. Are you really, really aggressive? Then you can equip a badge. Then you can equip badges that help you be more aggressive. Are you more like laid back and defensive? Then maybe some badges can help with that. Do you just get hit a lot and just want a badge that gives you more HP? Maybe we can add one of those. I think this will be a great tool for letting players kind of set the game up to how they're feeling, For example, when I was playing Hollow Knight, I really, really liked using the sword, the nail in that game, and I didn't like casting spells. I'm playing spells. What is this, magic? I'm a little bug. Bugs don't know how to do magic. Have you ever been outside? Had a bunch of cool badges that I could equip to really supplement that playstyle, make it more realistic. Essentially something like Hollow Knight's charm system. And then I mentioned Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door. When you leveled up in that game, you got to choose between HP, mana, and badge points. Essentially, you had like a gear score that you could keep equipping different things to. It was a nice trade-off because the badges let you have a certain power budget for your badges based on how many badge points you had. And it was a trade-off of, do I get like tankier? Do I get more access to my special abilities? Or do I get this power budget for equipping other interesting things? One of the most interesting things to me about the Thousand Year Door was that game had badges in it that just like changed the sound effects that your player character had. Being able to use it for some cosmetic stuff will be nice too. And one of the reasons that I want this badge system, rather than just giving the player extra abilities, is because there's like a difficult problem to solve with this sort of game. When there's like a really difficult challenge that takes like a lot of attempts and it's really hard, you have to have like mastery, you have to really like nail it to beat that challenge. You want to reward the player for beating the challenge. However, if you give them something that makes them more powerful, they're not the player who needs it. The player who needs something that makes them more powerful is the player who can't beat that challenge. Once they're good enough to beat that challenge, giving them something that makes them even stronger can trivialize other challenges down the road, or you just have this like snowballing effect where everything just gets harder and harder and more challenging, and then a player who was like struggling with the early challenges, they're never going to be able to beat the later ones. And so that's like a really difficult issue to solve unless, for example, like I was saying with the Paper Mario badges, you give cosmetics. There's like a skin or a sound effect or a song or like stuff like that. You unlock a reward that you like to get, but doesn't actually make you stronger. And the main issue I have with that is that getting stuff that makes you more powerful is like way fucking sicker, dog. I love getting stuff that makes me more powerful. It feels so good to like get a new thing I can equip and now my thing does more damage. That's awesome. I really enjoy, as a reward, stuff that makes me more powerful, even though I know in the back of my epic gamer brain that it's actually just like taking challenge away from myself. Badges solve this problem beautifully because when you complete a difficult challenge and you get a badge that makes you stronger, it feels like you've gotten, a reward that increases your power. But because you have a limited number of badge points, you have a limited number of slots, you don't actually get stronger because you are trading away something else to add that new power to it. So the player feels like they've gotten stronger and they have gotten more options, but they actually haven't gotten strictly stronger in terms of like their power level, the things they have access to. So it really strikes a nice balance of giving players options, rewarding people for beating challenges, and not trivializing the rest of the game. So I think a badge system for this kind of 2D platformer action, this sort of 2D action platformer high challenge level thing just makes perfect sense. So that's the goal for this devlog. I want to make a badge system. I want to be able to like open a pause menu, which now that I think about it means I need to add a pause menu, doesn't it? Uh-oh. Want to be able to open a pause menu and equip and unequip badges according to a cost, and then have those badges actually affect the gameplay. So that's what I'm going to get started on, and we'll see how it goes. Peace. And we're back. Got some great updates about how work on the badge system went. But before I get into that, I got some other really cool updates, some other housekeeping stuff to take care of first. And that is that Fur made these really sick attack animations for Isadora. We can show those off. Boom, bam, bibbidi. And personally, I was like, yeah, these attack animations look sick. But Fur looked at them and said, nah, dog, these ain't good enough no more. And they look sick. So let's show them off. We got Isadora's like standing idle attacks. She has her like 3-hit combo when she's not moving. One thing I did decide was that during working on Bobo, which if you haven't watched that devlog yet, previous video, made a mini boss called Bobo, and he's awesome. One thing that was very obvious to me while I was playtesting Bobo is that being able to move while attacking feels really good. I remember I was turmoiling, I was going back and forth over and over again trying to decide whether or not I wanted to have like a running attack for the main character because of a lot of reasons, one of which is that implementing that running attack is going to be pretty complicated for all like the animation state changes and stuff like that. So I really wasn't sure if it was going to be like worth the extra effort. But playing with it, it's so much more fun to be able to move while attacking. It makes the gameplay feel like smooth and responsive. The difference is like night and day. It feels so bad to get locked in place. It doesn't make it feel like slow and methodical. It makes it feel clunky. That being said, we're adding running attacks. So we have the running attacks from Fur. It's like a 2-hit combo. And since we have the running like forward attacks, I also wanted a running up attack. So you can see that smear here. So Isadora attacking like crazy. She has a bunch of aerial attacks too. Oh, and also another interesting note about all these new attacks. When I was working on Bobo, I hadn't played Hollow Knight yet. And while we were working on it, Fur was like, yo, you know, a game that has really good 2D action platformer, sword fighting boss fights is Hollow Knight. So you should go play that before you do any more design work on bosses. And I was like, gotcha, buddy. And so then I played Hollow Knight and Fur was correct. That game slaps major ass. I think it's going to be a great like inspiration point for a lot of the bosses moving forward. And I really love the like pogoing that you can do in that game, where in Hollow Knight, when you attack downwards from the air, you like bounce off of the enemy's head. I love doing that. I love pogoing around. So immediately I decided to add that to this game just to make aerial combat a little more interesting. So we can show that off too. I already got it working in engine. It's good to go. So we can pogo off of enemies' heads. And then we also have our like sidewards and upwards aerial attacks too. We can show those off as well. So we got this new set of attack VFX, all these new smears, and the new like combat style where instead of just having grounded attack combos and aerial forward attack, we have all these attack options. That will change the design a little bit. I might actually have to go look at Bobo and see if all the new options make him a little bit like too easy. In theory, just pogoing on his head the whole time, he doesn't know how to deal with that, but whatever. This is a video about the badge system. That doesn't matter. This is a video about the badge system. Let's get to the badge system. And the update for the badge system is brought out like so much easier than I thought it would be. So far, every time I come up with a system, I implement it and run into a bunch of problems along the way with like, oh, I didn't consider this, or oh, it has this complication. But not the badge system. Badge system, I just slapped that sucker in there and it's working great. I wanted it to be really easy for me to create new badges and for me to edit the badge data whenever I want to like test stuff out. So you can see here, I have this scene called the badge system. In Godot, the engine, it auto-loads this badge system when the game starts. So if I change anything in this badge system, the badge is updated. And you can look at all the data fields. The badges have a title, have a description, they have their point cost, they have an icon, they have a value. So all the badge data is really like centrally located in this badge system. I can change it really easily. And it's like super easy to work with. Like adding a new badge is as simple as adding a new badge node there. And then I have to hook it into the UI for like equipping and unequipping badges. And we can check that out here. You can see there's a bunch of test badges that fucking don't do anything. You can equip them and unequip them, and they follow the rules of like how much stuff is supposed to cost. And so what this badge system does is anywhere in the game, I can call into the badge system and ask like, hey, is this badge active? And if this badge is active, hey, what's its value? And so anywhere that I add a badge, let's say I add a badge that lets you like attack faster. If I have a badge that lets you attack faster, then in like the attack part of the code, I'll just check, hey, is the badge that makes you attack faster equipped? And if it is equipped, then I can do whatever I'm supposed to do. So this will be a really powerful tool, and I wanted to make sure that that like pattern worked. So I added like a high jump badge, which just like increases the jump force that gets applied when you press the jump button if it's equipped. And you can see here's me equipping the badge and testing it, and weehaw, it works. I might have made the value a little too high, but at least we know that the badge system works. I don't know if I'll actually have a high jump badge once like the game is like ready to go. It doesn't seem like something that makes that much sense for a platformer, but Overall, the badge system is great. And now at this point, I can make a bunch of badges and see how they feel, see what it's like to play with them, and just like think about it. It opens a lot of design space where, oh, maybe this playstyle would be fun, or maybe they want to use this ability, maybe someone needs more healing, and that'll be a great way for me to test stuff out. I can also pretty easily put like debug features into the badge system and just equip them whenever I want to test it. Like maybe I can test Isidore moving a little faster, moving a little slower. I can test those different things using a badge because it's super easy to get those into the game. So that's great. Another thought I had about the badge system is that I might be able to use them for like almost like a difficulty setting. In Celeste, there's a really great like assist mode. It's not so much as like setting the game to easy as it is like getting help if you need it. And I've seen a lot of games like Sea of Stars where essentially they have badges you can equip that make the game harder, like it's like an optional difficulty challenge. And I really like that idea. Like when I played Sea of Stars, I instantly equipped the make the game hard badge. Because of course I did. I want the game to be a challenge. I'm like a big, awesome, epic gamers. So I don't want the game to be easy on me, you know? And so having those kind of badges makes a lot of sense to me, where there can be like an assist mode where if you turn on the assist mode, it adds a bunch of like assist badges to the game, where if you equip this badge, you have way more health, or you don't take as much damage, you deal more damage, you like jump and float when you jump, or, you know, that sort of thing. Those sort of badges that are way too powerful, they wouldn't normally be a badge. Like you wouldn't want to get that much power budget on a single badge. But to someone who is struggling with the game and like would otherwise quit because they just like don't have the skill set to play it, or even as like an accessibility thing for someone who literally doesn't have like the motor function to do it, being able to go to the assist mode, add badges, and like actually customize. Because for example, if someone like really struggles to like hit the attack button, like they can play the rest of the game, but they can't like attack as fast as you would need to beat bosses in a reasonable time. If they equip a badge that makes them deal 3 times the amount of damage, then suddenly the game is like fair for like what they are capable of doing, you know? And like, speaking of which, playing Stardew Valley has put a lot of strain on my like clicky finger recently, so even I can relate to having some of those accessibility features. So that's something that I think will be nice. I can add like accessibility badges, which unlock if you like turn them on in the settings, so that people can customize their difficulty level. If they're struggling with something, they can give themselves more health, or they can give themselves more damage, that sort of thing. That way it's not like, oh, I'm playing on easy mode and I can't control what that means. And by doing it in this sort of badge system, they get control over the difficulty without saying, hey, here is your difficulty slider, which I think makes it more approachable. And then having badges that are like, you die if you take 1 damage, so that people like Game Champ can equip that right at the start. So I'm really excited about those. One thing that you probably noticed is that like I was just opening the badge menu just like as I was standing in the level. I don't know if I want the badge system to be like you can just change it wherever. In Hollow Knight, you have to like go to a bench to change your badges, which means that you can't just like swap them on the fly to like, I'm running out of health, I'm gonna equip the badge that like lets me heal. Now that I'm full health, I'm gonna pause and equip the badges that let me deal more damage or whatever. So I'll probably need to do something like that. You can change badges at like a checkpoint or change badges between levels, something like that. But just for testing purposes, I just made it so that the menu can open wherever. And then the other thing, I had another thing I wanted to talk about. Give me 1 second. So that being said, now that I have this system, I'm going to go implement a bunch of badge ideas. Maybe I'll start with like the fast attacks one. And then I'll update you once I have all those badges in. And if anything else Fur might do in the meanwhile, you know, sometimes I pop back up for one of these and I'm like, hey, Fur made a bunch of animations. I want you to see it. Yeah, I think that's good. Talk to you later with badges. Gamers. Yes, I ordered 1 gamer with a side of epic, please. Bro, I'm on one. All right, what's up, gamers? We're here for the epic finale of the badge saga. And by that I mean, I made a bunch of badges. I don't remember what I said at the end of my last recording session, but obviously the first thing I did was fix the high jump badge that I used to test if the badge system was working. You can see before, it sent you flying into the sky. If we just make the number on it a lot more reasonable, then we're good to go. And it's just a slight boost. I should say that out of all these badges I made, I don't know if any of them will actually make it into like the final version of the game. I was, for one, kind of testing the badge system, and I mean for 2, just kind of testing different badge styles, right? Because there's so many different kind of badges you can have in the game, and it'll take playing with them to see if they're like a good fit, if they actually like give you some meaningful input, if they give you a meaningful ability to change the way you're actually playing. And I'm not confident that the high jump badge does that, but it could be good for one of those assist badges that I talked about. So high jump, not in love with it, might make it in as an assist badge, might just get cut completely, but at least it's doing the right thing now. And then the second thing I wanted to add was a badge that extends the invulnerability frames that the player gets when they take damage. So I a while back added the like invulnerability frames and like the blinking animation when Isadora takes damage, and you can see that here. Ooh, wow, look at the cool effect. A funny coincidence, I played with it for a while to try to get it feeling really, really good, and after I settled on a value for the invulnerability frame timer that I liked, I was like, oh, maybe I should compare this to another game to see like where the difference is. Maybe it's lasting too long, maybe it's too short. Let me look at Hollow Knight, because I think that game is really good with its combat, and see what their invulnerability frames are. And they had exactly the same value I did. So I was like, oh, let me change it a little so it doesn't look like I copied their homework. But I mean, it's a small detail. I don't think anyone's going to lose their mind if my game has the same invulnerability frames at the end of an attack as Hollow Knight does. Especially because I don't think we have the same blinking pattern. It just lasts the same duration. So anyway, little funny side note aside, check it out. You just saw the cool invulnerability frames that I added, and I always wanted, when I had thought about the badge system, the one that came to mind first is a badge that extends your invulnerability frames. Because personally, I really like having that little extra wiggle room. I feel like with just a little bit of a breather, I can like clutch up. But otherwise, it's just like a string of failures into death. Just like my life, am I right, millennials? What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, invulnerability frames. I think those like that little extra duration really goes a long way. So here it is. I added a badge. You can see me run into Runktonk here, and it might not be obvious to you that I'm blinking longer, so we can put them both up on screen so you can see the standard invulnerability frames and the extended invulnerability frames next to each other. It also adds 2 like longer duration blinks in front of the regular one, so that it still makes sense visually with the like new increased timer. Also might be a badge that's good for speedrunners if they want to just like brute force through stuff by like clever timing of invulnerability frames and stuff like that, which I'm not opposed to. So this is one of the badges of this test set that I think is almost certainly going to make it into the final game, because it just feels really good. And that's why I was so excited to prototype this one and like get it in, is because I think, oh, it'll be really cool to see what a badge that will actually be in the final game will look like. Next, we got faster attacks. I think I mentioned this one in the previous filming, that it was one that I was excited to do too, because it just makes sense. Everyone wants to attack faster. And so here you go, boom! You can see me doing the regular attacks with the regular speed, and then I equip the faster attack badge and go to absolute town on this MF. I'm destroying this Runktonk. It's really easy for me to change the value that these badges give you. The system I set up for the badges is actually really, really easy to work with. It's so fast. Like, so originally I threw in a value for 2, like twice the speed of the attacks, and clearly that's too much. But you can see how easy it is for me to go to the badge and change the value to play around with it. It's literally just open the badge system, change one number, and now it works in game with that new number. It feels really good, and it's really smooth, and it makes it a lot easier to play around with these values and try to figure out, like, is there a value that makes it feel really good, or is it like broken fundamentally without needing to do a whole bunch of extra work to change it every time? I don't actually have to go into the code at all, which is great. But since it's so easy to change the value, so obviously I got to have a little fun. So obviously 2 times speed is too much. But instead of going down, what if we go up to 3 times speed? And check it out. Absolutely blasting that guy. Honestly, it looks kind of sick. I love the way all the smears like blend together when you're attacking this fast. It feels kind of dope. It's definitely not going to be in the game. That's way too much attack speed, but it feels kind of sick with it. It's like that one, what is it? Fist of the North Star meme? Muda, whatever. I don't know. Editor Senpai, I'm sure you know the meme. You could throw it in. But yeah, one fun fact is it's actually really hard to mash fast enough to catch the like combo attack window at that like increased attack speed. So you lose the window really fast, which is why you can see when I'm doing the triple speed attacks, I keep dropping the combo and just doing the first attack over and over again. So to actually like consistently keep the combo, you have to put both fingers over the attack button and just like mash alternating between the fingers. In any case, here you can see I turned it down to a much more appropriate value, like 1.25. And I'm not entirely sold on 1.25, but I think an extra 25% attack speed is pretty good. And you can see it feels really good. That extra 25% attack speed, it's like the attacks feel a lot snappier, it feels a lot better. It feels like you got a very noticeable buff, even though I think in most circumstances, that little bit of extra attack speed isn't gonna matter that much. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some bosses where just like being able to mash that little bit faster really can like trivialize something difficult or help out a lot. But I think this is like such a simple badge that just makes sense to have that it'll probably make it into the final one, but would love to hear your thoughts on it. But yeah, attacking faster is pretty straightforward. And the next badge is also pretty straightforward, which is running faster. This one is pretty obvious. it makes you move a little bit faster. Running back and forth normal speed, equip the badge, and now we zoom in. Also, this one is like, so there's almost nothing to say about it, except for I did crank that bad boy up, and you can see Isadora absolutely sliding. For one, it feels really weird because she no longer feels like planted to the ground. You know, it doesn't feel like her feet are dragging her forward because she's just zooming so far. But also it's really hard to control because the game has like acceleration and deceleration and like some proper physics handling. So that much move speed is like really hard to control. And also it makes jumping feel really weird because you still have your same horizontal move speed while you're jumping, but the jump, it feels like a little piddly baby jump compared to how fast you're moving in the x-axis. So whatever. So, I mean, you can see it's ridiculous, but just a little bit of a move speed increase feels great. So that one working just fine. And then faster dash. This one, I just wanted to test, what if the dash went a little bit faster, which means I want you to still travel the same distance of the dash, but in a shorter time. So you increase the dash speed and decrease the dash duration. You can check that out here. You can see me doing the regular dash on the stage, and then you can see me equip the badge and do a faster dash. And it's not bad. I'm not in love with it. I think it's a little bit weird because the game does have that acceleration and deceleration. So one thing that happens is when you're leaving the dash, you carry a little bit of that momentum with you. And it means that a faster dash actually makes you move a little bit further as well, because you carry a little bit of that extra momentum out of it, even if the ratio is the same. You know, if you dash for like 2 speed for 1 second versus 1 speed for 2 seconds, those in theory would be the same because the math is the same. They both end up as 1 times 2, which is 2. But that little extra acceleration gets you a little bit more distance. Now, I could decrease the duration by just a smidge and like fudge it so that it feels correct, but I'm just not sure how useful that faster dash is. In fact, now that I'm talking to you, I feel like it might actually be better if instead of like decreasing the duration of the dash, but keeping the length the same, it might be better to just decrease the cooldown between dashes so that it feels like you can just do more dashing. Because right now there is like a cooldown before you can dash again. So maybe it's just like decreasing that a little. Maybe there's an idea for a badge that's like, you know, increased athletics or something that's like a slightly decreased cooldown on attacks and on dashes, and maybe like when you take damage, you get control of Isadora back a little bit faster. Maybe something like that could work. Yeah, there might be something there. But as it stands, this dash, it makes your dash a little snappier. It's not bad. It's something that like I'll obviously leave in there for now. But if it turns out it doesn't work that well, I'm not like in love. I didn't get married to this badge, you know. But this badge is bugaboo. So the last 3 badges that I told you about were faster attacks and faster running and faster dashing. And I was like, these badges are getting like a little bit too stale, a little bit too similar, a little bit too boring. So I wanted to do something a lot more interesting. So I was like, what's a cool badge idea for something that is like not so obvious as like move a little faster? And so I had the idea for a badge that if you go a certain amount of time out of combat, like if you don't take damage for a certain amount of time, you generate a shield that kind of blocks the next attack. Now, it doesn't like stop you from getting like knocked back. Like it doesn't stop the like wince animation, but it would protect your HP. So instead of getting hit and taking damage, you get hit and it takes away that shield. And I thought this would be a really cool badge because it incentivizes people who can dodge a lot of attacks, right? It's not about dealing more damage, it's about some survivability. The first thing I did was mock up a shield to see like what that would look like. So I added this little shader effect that draws an outline around Isadora, and it looks good. You can see me like moving around and jumping with this outline. Okay, maybe it looks good is a little bit too generous. I think it looks okay. It's not like a terrible effect or anything. And so, yeah, so that looks good. And then I added a shield to the Hurtbox controller for Isadora, where when she gets hit, if she has the shield active, it gets rid of the shield and then starts counting it back up. And so I built this like shield capability into Isadora, and so you can see what the shield looks like. And then I just gated it behind a badge, where if you have the badge equipped, it turns on that shield system, and if you unequip the badge, it turns off the shield system. You can see I run into the enemy and take damage. That works as normal. And then I open the badge system and equip the badge, and then suddenly my shield generates over the next like couple seconds. And I also added like a little tween to the shader parameter so that the color of the outlines, like alpha value, its opacity, slowly increases as it's charging up. So you can see it like slowly come into effect. And then when it finally like activates and you have the shield ready, it like flashes at like maximum opacity for like 1/10 of a second and then goes back down to like 80% opacity. So it gets that like shield regenerating look flashes to let you know it's ready, and then just like sits around Isadora as the shield. And honestly, I feel like the way this badge functions, the effect it gives you is really cool. I actually like it quite a bit. I definitely need to tweak the amount of time, because right now it's like 4 seconds out of combat, it regenerates, which is really good for testing because it means that I'm getting that shield back very quickly. And that's great, because the quicker I get the shield back, the quicker I can test if it's working. But that's probably too quick for an actual like boss fight. You probably would be getting the shield between every attack, which is stupid. But that's actually just spitballing. I haven't like timed the attacks specifically. So, but in any case, it's supposed to reward you for like a streak of dodges. So I would just have to play with that value. But I like the functionality. I'm not completely sold on the shader effect. I feel like the outline might not look that good. It's like I kind of talked myself into liking it while I was working on it, but you can let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about the outline there. Does it look good? Can you tell it's a shield? Does it work? Is it giving you the sauce? I also tried having it so that she didn't get knocked back when she had the shield active. She just lost the shield. But that is weird, because if it doesn't knock you back, you're just still in the hurt box of the enemy. So then it needs to give you like invulnerability frames so that you have a chance to get out of the hitbox or something, but then you're not like blinking or anything. So should you just like shine? It just opened like a bajillion more questions, when it just makes more sense that when the shield gets burst, you also react like you took damage, and then you just move on with your life or whatever, right? Yeah, so that's the shield badge. And it was nice to do something a little bit more interesting with the badges, because I think it gives a good sense of the kind of cool effects we can add behind a badge. You know, a regenerating shield is just neat. And it's the kind of thing that is very powerful, and some players will really like it, and some players will say, what, dude, this is useless, I hate it, or it's boring, or I don't like the way the outline looks. And they don't want to use it, or they're like, you know what, that's a good effect, but I'd rather just have more damage. Let me smack the hell out of this guy. So you can really get a variety of playstyles based on which badge you have equipped. And this shield badge is a lifesaver for anyone who's trying to do like a damageless run, because if you equip a shield badge and don't lose health when you get hit, that's damageless, baby, let's go. And so implementing the shield badge was actually a little bit complicated. So I was like, let's go back to some easy stuff. So I mentioned in the previous section, I think, that I added the like ability to pogo, like in Hollow Knight. So I was like, what if a badge made you pogo more? What if it's some extra pogo force? So here's the extra pogo force badge. You can see me bouncing on this homie's head the normal amount, and then you can see me equip the badge and bounce a lot more than that. But yeah, this badge, I put it in there because I thought it would work pretty well, and it's stupid. What is the point of this badge? It's like extra pogo force. Who cares? This badge is definitely, I don't think this badge is making it into the final version. But if you have like a real passionate defense of extra pogo force, if you're like, that badge is my favorite badge out of all of these, let me know in the comments. Oh, that actually reminds me, something I forgot to mention in the previous recording and the recording now, is that this UI is extremely placeholder. This UI looks terrible, and I'm aware of it, okay? You're only allowed to tell me how bad the UI for the badges looks if you preface it without telling me how handsome and gorgeous I am, and how I make your heart a flutter, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, wah, wah, wah. Right? That has to be present in the comment before you can tell me how bad the UI looks. So, I actually have a friend who's really, really good at like UI, UX stuff. Like, he's like a genius at it. He's so good with UI, UX. And he told me that he is going to have some time that he can like help me with some mock-ups, or even potentially with some implementation stuff in like a couple months. So I'm probably going to have him help me out with helping me design the UI for a bunch of these pieces. So look forward to that. We'll definitely have a video in the future of like, how do we make the UI in this game not look completely fucking terrible? Because right now, that's where it's at. That being said, it's functional. And I didn't really want to put too much more effort into like how the UI is going to look when I know that it's going to change. It's like, I could have polished this badge menu a little bit, but I know I wasn't going to polish it to the point where I liked it, especially because I probably want to do something like where you pick it up, the like icon, you pick it up and like equip it into a slot, something like that. Or I don't know, I just need something more behind it rather than like clicking an equip button. So just wanted to say that. Otherwise, people might see that and be like, whoa, that's what the menu in this game is going to look like. I am now going to unsubscribe from your YouTube channel because that's very ugly. The next badge I added is one that I've been calling the wall grip. I've showed off a little bit of the movement mechanics for wall climbing, but one thing that I have added, and I don't think I mentioned in a video yet, when you grab a wall, you stick to it and then slide down it. But when you're sliding down it, if you hold towards the wall, you slide a little slower, just to give the player a little bit more control over their movement along the wall since they're sliding down. And then you can also like jump to climb up the wall, or jump off the wall, or dash off the wall, you know, that all those like wall movement stuff. But I thought a badge that might actually be cool is a badge that lets you move way slower down the wall. Right now, when you slide down the wall, you slide pretty slowly, but if you're holding up against the wall, you might want to basically just stick there. Now, I don't think I want like actual like wall cling, like I don't want you completely like 100% frozen there, but having a badge that lets you slow down more might be just nice for certain players. Certain players might really like wall-based strategies on certain boss fights, or, you know, they like to cling to the wall until the proper moment to like jump off and go for stuff. It felt like a badge that might open up some really cool opportunities for a certain kind of player. And also it's like a pretty simple badge, easy for me to just like show off so you can see what's going on with it. So here, boom, wall cling badge. You can see normal, like jumping up and down on the wall and how that works. So we have the regular wall movement, and then we equip the badge and you can see, boom, I'm like stuck to that wall. There might not be no way to like extreme tune this the way I did with everything else to see it looking goofy, because like, what am I going to do? Make it negative so that when you cling to the wall, you actually go up instead of down? Is that what I'm going to do? I might go make it do that after this so we can put it in as a funny little like haha bit. Or maybe I won't do that and you'll like include this part in the video so that I look stupid. It's something that I think is pretty cool, and maybe a certain enemy could drop it, or maybe a certain boss, or maybe it's like a hidden badge somewhere. Like, I don't know where I would use this one, but it is a cool enough idea that I don't hate it. That's actually something that I don't think I've talked about at all, is like, how do you get badges? And so my plan for the game is to have like a bunch of hidden bosses and hidden stuff in the levels itself. So you can go fight these hidden bosses and get either like armor upgrades, which I think I've mentioned, or maybe like a health upgrade, or maybe they drop a badge. And then also throughout the levels, having some spots hidden behind like breakable walls, or like a jump, or like some kind of, you know, some kind of hidden something. Maybe it's like lore, just in some kind of hidden spot. Maybe you can just go find a badge. And maybe I'll even have like little like lore bits that like the badges have like a description text that I can use to communicate some of the lore behind the game. So that's the idea of how you get badges. I don't think I ever mentioned that. So that's probably something to mention at least once in the badge video. But yeah, so I don't know exactly where I would put the wall cling badge, but it's something that I think works, and something that I think could be useful somewhere. Again, I'm not married to it. Right now, the only one I'm definitely married to is the extra invulnerability frames, because those are sick. Attack speed is like a little bit married. It's like, yeah, maybe the attack speed badge is like a casual girlfriend or something, you know, dating on the low, yo. If I knew more slang, it'd be easier to make that joke. The final badge I added was another one that I wanted to see like something interesting, and it's like the hover boots, where if you continue holding jump at the end of your jump, you will hover for a little bit in the air before gravity takes over and you start to fall. This one's a little bit more complicated, which is why it's the last one I did, because I was putting it off, because I was procrastinating, because I'm irresponsible. Here it is. You can see what it looks like. You know, normal jump, you jump, the arc finishes, and then you fall. Whoa, crazy. But when you equip the badge, you jump and hold and you hover for a bit and then fall. And as you can see, it looks kind of dumb because when Isadora is staying in her jump pose and hovering, it just feels weird, right? It's like there's something about this. There's something that looks weird about it. Now, there's something about this that about this effect that I think could still work, but I think it would require like its own custom like hover animation. Like she switches to a hover animation during this brief hover and then switches to the fall animation, because as it stands, her animation for the jump state feels very strange to me. And at that point, if it's getting its own custom animation, and honestly, hovering is like a pretty powerful effect, I would almost rather this be like an armor upgrade, like a more significant bonus that everyone gets access to, because who doesn't want to hover at the end of a jump? It feels so monumentally strong, right? It's like, especially in a platformer, it's like being able to hover at the end of your jump is like very good. And if it also needs a custom animation, it just feels more impactful than a badge. It's like passing the threshold of what I feel like is appropriate for like a badge of strength. But maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe it's actually really cool. Maybe some people hate like hover effects at the end of jumps, and they wouldn't even want to get an armor upgrade that gave that to them. They would much rather just jump. So let me know what you think about that. But honestly, the effect itself works. It's like you can hover at the end of a jump when you equip the badge. It does what it says on the tin. You know, it's like, it works, but I'm just not convinced that it's right for a badge. It feels like it might be too strong. I feel like a lot of the other badges might be too simple or whatever, but this one just feels like it's too much, especially if it needs a custom animation. But again, love to hear your thoughts. And speaking of loving to hear your thoughts, I was trying to figure out what another badge to like end this on. Although at this point, now that I'm actually like talking to you about all the badges I made, I don't know why I think I needed so many. I've already been talking to the camera forever. but yeah, I thought I needed another badge, but I realized like a lot of the stuff I'm thinking of is like either pretty simple or too complex for badges. So I'd love to get some community feedback on this one. Like, what are some badges you would like to see in a game like this? Because there's plenty of simple ones, like badges that make you deal more damage, badges that make you attack faster, run faster, badges that give you more HP, badges that let you like regen your health faster. Like stuff like that is all very simple, and it's cool and it feels good. Who doesn't love a badge like that? But it's just so simple, and like obviously I can add them if I need a badge, but if I need a badge that does that stuff, I can add it. But there might be some really cool, unique ideas that I just haven't had myself yet. I feel like my shield badge is like a cool, unique idea that I'm glad I added. But some more stuff like that, stuff that actually can impact the way you're playing. I'd love to hear some suggestions. What's a badge that you would be absolutely stoked to find? And then let me know what you think about all the badges that I've implemented so far. Are there any badges that stand out to you as like really cool and like you're excited that those are in there? Like, does wall clinging really speak to you, or does the run faster badge? It's like, I know in almost every game I play, if there's an option that lets me run faster, I always equip it because I always want to run faster. If I could permanently ride my horse in Stardew Valley, I would like pog out of my mind, dude. I love moving faster. And so a badge that makes me run faster is something that I'm always really excited about. But, you know, maybe... So I always love to run faster in video games, but I don't think it's just me. I think people really like that, but I'm not sure how valuable it is. So I'd love to see if you guys have any cool ideas, because ultimately being able to make badges that the community is excited about would be great. And I've been getting tons of great feedback on my videos on like basically every different idea I have and everything I've worked on. I've gotten so many suggestions in the comments that while I was working on the badge system, I literally thought to myself, yo, people are going to leave comments on this badge video that are going to give me way better ideas than I'll have just sitting here thinking by myself. Kudos to y'all. Great job, guys. Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone taking the time to like and comment and subscribe. Speaking of which, if you haven't liked and commented and subscribed, do those things. it really means a lot to me. So many people leaving like such nice words and being so like supportive and encouraging, and then like, yeah, just the positive reception I've gotten to all my videos recently has felt really, really good. So just a huge shout out to everyone watching, the community out there. It's y'all's reaction to this stuff that like keeps me going. So thanks, everybody. Hope to make some more cool stuff for you. Let me know what badges you want to see in the game. I think before I talked about doing a video where I just implemented ideas that people gave me in the comments, and maybe as a part of that video, I can implement like the best badge that was suggested, or like the top 3 badges suggested. Just add those to the game and see what they look like, see how they work. And then, yeah, so maybe just like take like either the top badge from the suggestions under this video, or like the top 3 badges, whatever, put them in the game, show them off to you in the video where I do viewer suggestions, and then see how that goes. I mean, maybe I'm rambling. I've completely lost the plot. My brain is completely melted. I am goo. I am a goo man. I'm a little slimy boy. Ooh, punish me, daddy. I can never end one of these videos like a normal person. I already asked for like, comments. All I have to do is say bye. All I have to do is say goodbye, and we're all good. That's all I need to do. All right, I'll see you next video, guys. Bye-bye. See you later. Have a good one.